Hey guys, welcome back. Today, as you can see here, we got a Ariens 1332 Pro snowblower, 2-stage, 13 horse Tecumseh on it with a 32-inch wide bucket. I added the impeller kit on this one, so got the rubber paddles on the impeller blades to tighten up the tolerance there. And believe me, if you haven't done that, you must do it. I use I think I mentioned in one of my other videos, I use a old tire mud flap from a truck. Just cut them up into little rectangles, screw them onto the existing impeller blades, kind of rotate them around, see what the minimum gap is in there, and set it to that. And this thing will actually throw water, slushy snow, whatever you can throw at it. It will ingest it and shoot it out. It doesn't clog. So that's kind of almost bridges the gap between a little single stage like my Toro Power Clear with the rubber paddles and a big 2-stage. It'll do some of the work that a smaller single stage can do as far as picking up slush and snow and ice and throwing it, but then it'll handle huge snowfalls as well. Yeah, I've had this thing in I think it was 2011, February 2011. We had Snowmageddon here in Wisconsin. 4 feet of snow overnight and about 8-foot drifts. And it took me about 3 days to clear out about 10 properties, and I just used this machine. Was running a little bit rough before I started that, and about, I don't know, 10 tankfuls of gas later, was running smooth. So whatever was in the carb got cleaned out. Working 8 hours a day, maybe, I don't even know, it might have been 10 hours a day back then. So anyways, this is the machine that did it. I'm a little worse for the wear all these years later, but the machine's no worse for the wear. It's got the battery start, 12-volt start. Just turn the key and it starts up. Has a regular choke, like a regular 13-horse Tecumseh, primer bulb and all that. It's just a key start. Got the heated handle grips and a little stock headlight there. Not very powerful, so I added a little LED, if you can see that, off the one of the drift cutters there. I just bolted it right onto the drift cutter. It's waterproof, and I just run it right to the battery actually. When I want a little additional light, I just plug that right into the battery. I got a little quick connect there, and it works perfect. Looks a little strange, but it works perfect. So that's the machine, but why is it out here in the garage and not back in the shed? Well, that's a good question. What I did 2 days ago, I was widening my driveway and some driveways of the properties that I do, and they were just solid ice. It wasn't up to the edge of the grass. People had driven over it, and there's some areas that I missed with my John Deere tractor. That's snowblower mounted tractor. It's a 47-inch 2-stage on the front of a John Deere X739. So I didn't have the areas very well marked off yet for the winter, and so I missed some areas that didn't get the full width of the driveway, in other words. Well, that all turned to solid ice about 3 inches thick. So in some areas I went around, chopped it with a chopping blade, which actually I think you can see here. This is the one I use. Nice heavy blade. I don't know what that is, about 125 thick, something like that. And this one you basically just drop. You don't have to put a lot of downforce on it. You just drop it. I'll chop that ice right in half there. So then I had all this chopped frozen ice standing around, and I didn't want to take the John Deere out again. So this is my next best option here, is to go with the Ariens and have it chew through all that solid ice and throw it. Just eats it up like you wouldn't believe. So in the process of doing that, I started smelling some burning rubber, believe it or not. Imagine that, huh? Abusing the machine, and it started complaining a little bit. So today I thought I'd tip it up on the bucket and show you guys how I just quickly inspect the drive disc system in this thing. I'm sure that's what it was. It probably melted a little bit of that drive rubber disc onto the aluminum platen in there. I didn't see any smoke. I just smelled smoke. I didn't see it. Just smelled a little burning rubber. Not smoke per se, but so it's either that or one of the belts, the auger belt or the drive belt. I kind of doubt it, but because those are pretty new and tight in there. I think I was in low gear, obviously the slowest speed, but I really did, obviously push it past what the manufacturer or whatever dreamed someone would do with a machine like this, and that's my normal operating mode. Unfortunately, I don't go easy on equipment. The equipment's supposed to do the work for me. I just get out there and do what I want to do, and the equipment better keep up. So I'm going to tip it up on the bucket, then I'll switch you guys around. We'll take a look at the pan, get the pan off there, and we'll get her going. Okay guys, I got her flipped up on the pan, or on the bucket. Doesn't look too bad in here. A little better than I expected. It appears that some knucklehead was in here and got a little overzealous with the oil. Maybe last year. Seeing I'm the only one that ever works on my equipment, that would be me. So I don't see a lot of oil here directly on the platter, on this aluminum disc here. Looks pretty clean actually, and dry. But I suspect that maybe the adjustment was a tiny bit out. It wasn't putting enough pressure on this friction disc here. Rubber disc wasn't putting enough pressure on that plate for what I was trying to do with the machine, which was again not recommended. So just going to spray a little carb cleaner. If I had my brake cleaner out here, I'd use that, but I don't. Well, this isn't going to hurt anything here. Just get in and wipe that platter off. Drive disc, I guess you'd call it. That's what's actually connecting the engine to the drive system. Is the engine drives that aluminum plate down there via a belt, and then the friction disc here, when you engage the drive mechanism, the friction disc gets, actually the plate comes up and touches the friction disc. So I'm gonna wipe the disc off a little bit too, but to get the other side here, the left side, I'm gonna shift the speed selector. Let's see. Yeah, get it all the way to the other side, out of my way here. So that's all the way in reverse too. It's got two reverse gears. So I'm just trying to get all the grease off that actual aluminum platter down there. Once that's done, which it is, now I'm just going to get a little bit of my excessive grease off this machine. Actually, it's oil. This is a high temperature, or low temperature grease actually on this shaft here where the speed adjustment slides back and forth here. Yeah, that shaft there is got low temperature grease on it, but it's certainly far from ever rusting. It's got so much on there. So I'm just gonna soak up a little of that extra grease. The actual belly pan, when I pulled it off, had oil sitting in it. Wasn't black oil, it was fresh oil, so I knew it wasn't engine oil. It was the oil that I used to oil this chain over here. And I probably got quite a bit on the gears as well, so that just basically started slinging off over the last couple of years. I don't put a lot of hours on this machine. It's just a backup machine in case my John Deere goes down, or if I'm getting into some stuff where I feel a little bit of machine abuse coming on, then I'll take this machine out and beat the crap out of it instead of my Deere. So this is a little more maneuverable too. My Deere's got a cab on it, so it's a little harder to maneuver around and see what you're doing in that. And obviously this is wide open, so your field of view is much greater when you're operating one of these as opposed to sitting inside a cab. You're kind of higher up as well. So kind of did this in reverse. Probably should have waited till the end to clean the platen off, because I got a little more grease on there. Not too much, but a little bit. Find a clean spot on my towel here. So as you can see, hopefully you can see that the disc is in pretty good shape. The rubber, it's fairly unabused. Everything else is looking pretty okay in here. So I got most of the spattered oil taken care of here, the oil slick that I caused. I did take a look at the belts when I pulled the belly pan off here, and both belts look unscathed. They're not cracked, they're not dried, they're not frayed. So I think that was it. I just got into a little bit of slipping. Next, after I button her back up, I'm going to do a slight adjustment here of the shift mechanism. And I'll probably take a look at adding a little bit more tension onto that platter engagement so it presses harder into the rubber drive disc. You know, it's for normal use, and even for a little bit of heavy duty use, it's fine. For my kind of abuse, I might need a little bit extra oomph in there. So that's it for this one, guys. I just wanted to quickly show you what the inside here looks like. What I didn't mention before was this one has the differential lock on the left wheel. If you want to lock both wheels together, you just pull out a little pin here, and well, not a pin, it's a selector actually, and then you can lock both wheels together. It's an older model. I think this is a 97 or something like that. Bought it used. I think it was about 3 years old. Bought it from a guy that had an account where he had a tractor like mine, and he was doing a lot of sidewalks, and he bought this as a backup. And his tractor never broke down, so he never actually used the machine. It just sat in his garage. I think he said he used it once or twice in 3 years. Then he lost the account for the school that he was doing, so he sold this baby. So saved quite a bit of money off a new one. It just needed the carburetor taken apart and cleaned. Gas was green and had some mold on it in the carburetor, so took the carb apart and cleaned it up, and ran pretty darn good, but had a tiny little bit of a stumble. And like I said, after that storm where I was out all day for 3 days, it really cleaned out that carb good. Yeah, obviously I used fresh gas, and a bunch of tankfuls of the fresh gas through there is the best thing for a carb. So, and just run time, you know, just constant flow through that carburetor just cleaned it right out. Worst thing for them is just sitting around with, especially with stale gas. Around here we have ethanol in our gas, so I have to drive about 20 miles one way to fill up on non-ethanol fuel. I think it's 91 or 92 octane. Octane's not that important to me. This thing will run fine on any octane, but it's the ethanol that I want to get away from. So I feel confident with this thing sitting for, you know, 1 or 2 seasons without even using it, with that ethanol-free gas in it. I would trust it probably up to about 3 years before I got concerned about it. So I go out there, get ethanol-free gas. I take 4 or 5 6-gallon plastic jugs, fill them all up, and that lasts for quite a while. When I start to get low, I will dump them in my truck, use them in my truck, and then go out and fill all fresh cans. I think I do that probably every 2 years. I just get rid of all that gas and get new fuel in those tanks, those gas cans. Alright, enough jabbering. Thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you on the next one.